alternative newspapers. And they were activists because besides doing the reporting, they were running around with the signs, behind the signs, they were getting tear gas, and they were writing about, fuck the police. And then they would write about it, and they would say in the beginning, yes, well, fuck the police, but here's what happened. And that's a bit of an activist journalist, a journalist who doesn't hide, and I want to be one of these, so I'm going to say I'm an activist journalist. I don't hide my point of view. It'll be there, out in the open, but then there will be content, there will be facts, I hope, if I did a good job that day. And so activist journalists are also, of course, one of the groups that's at highest risk because they're there in the crowd, they put themselves on the line, and when it comes down to it, not only can they be on their own, of course, like a freelancer, but they might not get the support of even a public that says, well, you're in a protest, so you take that beating, or you get arrested. So they're part of that group, all right? A quick thing on where. I don't know why, I guess the journalist in me wants the who and the wheres and all these other boring things. That's Iran. I've never been there. I act like I recognize it. Oh, that's Iran. There's me in the middle. No, I don't get out much. A few people know I get out. So, where in the world? If we look at Reporters Without Borders, I always get that name wrong, Reporters Without Borders, the English translation. They always release every year. You've probably read it. I have a good time the night it comes out, and I study it, sort of. And they have their list of the Press Freedom Index. And I go right to the bottom. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like cheering, although they're great. I don't go like, yay, Sweden! I head right to the bottom and I'm like, ha, oh, Cuba again? Yes, Sweden, always up there, Finland. That's beautiful, the people in the top, but if you look towards the bottom, the nations that we see this year, and that we've seen in past years, let me make sure I get them, Eritrea, Cuba, Burma, imagine that, Burma, unbelievable. I know you're shocked by this list. Let me add North Korea to it. And they always come at the bottom. And I point this out because these are, of course, the obvious places where bloggers, journalists, they're all lumped in, including the policy of the government. The border guards are part of this. But it is, of course, possible that bloggers or freelance journalists could be spied on right here in good old Europe, right? You probably are thinking of someone you know who's a journalist who got spied on. Why didn't you tell me? I'm not going to tell that story. But even in places like the United States, it is possible. We know that the US government spies. Even under the Obama administration, by the way, there is still spying. Can I just jump into my own presentation and interrupt? I was in the US last week. I'm interrupting Mark. Kanye interrupting. I was going to put Kanye interrupting just for fun. I didn't. I was in the US, and a lot of people wanted me to tell you about this new product. No. They wanted me to tell you that even though Obama's the president and we dig Obama, or we dug Obama when we voted for him, things are not what they're supposed to be. And we don't love everything that's going on, including you still get spied on, that darn Guantanamo is still open, and that we can't seem to get a real healthcare thing. So, if anyone asks, not everything is okay in America, That was a little interruption. Now back to our regular program. He got punched, wasn't that funny? No, it's not funny. That was a test to see who has any morality. What is wrong with you, Pete? It was what is it, the Duomo? A statue of the Duomo? It's not okay. Shh. It's not, I don't support the, oh, never mind. It's really weird. But so in case you didn't know, and I know you know, who's doing the spying? Now, of course, governments can do spying. We know they're good at that, and they have the resources. But it's not only governments. In some countries, we have paramilitaries. Yes, there are paramilitaries. It's like a group of parrots, and they... No? No, but paramilitaries, they also do spying, and they also have access to resources. In some cases, they have friends in government. And of course, corporations do spying, and that's some of the least reported. Corporate spying, it's big. So these are the types of groups we're going to see doing spying, and yeah. So let's maybe move to some examples, why not? Move on with it. This is Amy Goodman. Maybe some of you have heard of her. She runs this small news program called Democracy Now!, one of the finest in the world. Yes, now that deserves employment. I don't know if I spell things right. Don't look. I think I did. So Amy Goodman, I mean, she's a rebellious one. She reports on things you're not supposed to, and she's very good at it. And so the other day, she's going to Canada, because Canada has health care. And no, she was feeling fine. No, she went to report about it. She wanted to go because there's this guy, Tommy Douglas. Sounds like the guy next door. Tommy Douglas is he alive? Well, when he was in charge of Saskatchewan, which is a place, seriously, he installed this whole universal healthcare system. He started it, or at least he fueled it. Never mind Canadians who want to correct me. Just go with it. He's the guy, came up with the health system. So Amy Goodman wants to go up there and interview about Tommy Douglas, because Americans don't understand Canada, healthcare, the environment. And so she goes to the Canadian border. Show of hands, have you been to the Canadian border with the United States? Wasn't that interesting? Was it tough? Like, ask you questions, tell us who you are. No, they do now. Amy Goodman goes up to the border. I wasn't there. I love acting like I was there. I heard her testimony. And she thinks she's going into Canada, which, you know, some of you have been there. And the Border Patrol guy says, what are you coming to report about? Immediately, I have some questions for him. And she says, I'm coming to talk about Tommy Douglas, healthcare. In case you didn't notice, it's big in the US now, this issue. I might also talk about the wars. I'm going to talk about the financial crisis. And then the guy goes, are you going to talk about the Olympics? And Amy Goodman goes, you mean the thing where Barack Obama went to Copenhagen and tried to get the Summer Olympics and failed? And the border guard says something like, yeah, and he failed. And she's like, yeah. And she goes, no, I hadn't really planned on it. And he goes, what about our Olympics? Apparently Canada has the Winter Olympics. Apparently there are still Winter Olympics. All the skaters and stuff are very disappointed in me. And so the guy, among the things he does, he makes her wait in that imaginary space that we've seen. It's not imaginary, it's just scary. And takes her computer and starts looking through the computer. Amy, of course, very worried about this. And they hold her for a little while, ask her questions. They want to see her notes. And the dialogue is bizarre. According to the Amy Goodman in the transcript, she said, well, I have a book, you can read through it. First of all, I'm surprised she's telling him so much, right? You know, I'd be like, you want to know what I'm reporting about? You can read about it tomorrow in the paper. And what's your name? The brave boy who never crosses the Canadian border. I know, she's much braver than I am, it's true. And so, she says, there's my book. And he goes, no, I want the notes. And I really don't understand if he meant the notes to the book or the notes in her computer. Whatever the case, she got held for a while, and then she was told she had 2 days to exit Canada while she's entering. 2 days. And she said they called it a special circumstance because of the Olympics. They have extra power. Moral of the story, even at the Canadian border, journalists are not only being, stopped and questioned, but their stuff is being gone through. So be careful on your way to Canada. That's the Amy Goodman story. Love how I breeze through very serious things. Oh, I brought a news item in case my story isn't as good as theirs. Talk, news guy. He's talking. You know what? I told it better than he did, but can we get this working for my future?
Our Go Public report.
Might want to have kids one day.
Has the exclusive top story.
An award-winning U.S. journalist. Amy Goodman is well known in alternative media circles.
Is the host of Democracy Now!
I didn't know we needed to have even a visa coming into Canada.
Here to promote a book.
Clearly, he wasn't going to let us go.
She wasn't sure she'd get in.
They took the passports and then said, pull over.
You were flagged right off the bat.
Yeah.
Goodman was grilled at the Peace Arch border Wednesday.
The Peace Arch?
Repeatedly.